Hi Earth Science students, it's Mrs. Gibbs here with you today. We're going to be talking about assignment 3.07, Energy for Future Exploration. And some people had trouble with this, partly because there is a graph that goes with this, and some people forgot to do the graph, but we'll also do the questions as well. So I'm just going to read through it, and you can fast forward, rewind when you need to stop and pause and spend more time on things. But at the top it says, use data from the past, so you can see from the table we're starting in 1996, to make a prediction about future coal production. So coal, as you can recall, is a fossil fuel, so it is a non-renewable resource that the United States relies heavily on for energy. It says, when making a prediction, look for trends in data and use other information to support your prediction. So let's start by looking at the table here, and I'm going to scroll down. So this table shows coal production by year. It has 3 areas, and I'm going to give each area a color because, as you can see, we'll be graphing them later. So Appalachian, I'm going to do that in red. Interior, let's do blue. And then the other region is Western, and I will do green. And so for each area, you can see the amount of coal that was produced per million short ton. Okay, the unit is right here. And this is important when we get to the graph. We need to label our axes. Okay, so in 1996, for example, Appalachian produced 452 million short tons of coal. Okay, let's head down to 2011. In 2011, let's go to Western. Western produced 586 million short tons of coal. Okay, so again, this is broken down by year and then also by region. So let's take a look at the questions. Okay, the first one way at the bottom here of the first page, and I'm going to let you do this on your own. I showed you how to read the table, and now I want you to answer. It says, study the table and find out which region of the United States produced the most coal in 1996. So if you're looking at 1996, you want to find the biggest number and tell us which region that is. And then also it says in 2011. So again, find 2011, which region had the most coal. So you will either be writing Appalachian, Interior, or Western for that, and also write Appalachian, Interior, or Western, whichever one, for 2011. So that's the first part. Next, we're going to get to the graph. It says, using the data from the coal production table, so again, that was the data from up above, create a graph of coal usage in each region over the years. The x-axis should be years, and the y-axis should be coal production. Use a different color or symbol to represent each region. Remember to include titles and labels. So we want to do the graph before we even get to the analysis questions. So we're going to scroll down to the graph paper. And some people were having trouble printing the graph paper, so you can also Google printable graph paper and print it that way. Sometimes it wasn't printing from here. So it says that we want the x-axis to be years. So as you recall, the x-axis is the horizontal, the one going across the bottom. So we're going to start at 1996. Okay, and each one will be a year. I'm just going to, for clarity, go to 1998. I skipped a line. That's 97. Okay, 99, 2000, skip one, 2002, skip one, 2004. Okay, all the way up to 2011, because that's the number of years we have. Now it says to label the axes, so that means we have to put down here, year. That's a good label. But again, we want to follow this all the way to 2011 because that's where our data goes to. So that's the x-axis. Now let's look at the y-axis, which is vertical. And we said the y-axis is coal production. So I'm going to try to write this. I might cover you up here for a second. Coal production. And my handwriting is kind of sloppy on here. Hopefully you can read. But let's look at our table. it looks like our lowest coal production is maybe 145, and our highest that we need to go all the way up to is like 634. So that gives us a good idea of how to label it. Okay, we'll just go ahead and start at 0 and go up by 20s. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. 20, 40, 60, 80, 200. 20, 40, 60, 80, 300. 20, 40, 60, 80, 400. Up here. Let me go up. 20, 40, 60, 80, 500. 20, 40, 60, 80, 600. 20, 40, 60, 80, 700. Okay, so we've got everything labeled. Okay, except we don't have a title for our graph. So I'm going to let you title the graph. What are we looking at? So the title of the graph should go here. I don't want you to write title. I don't want you to write this. Okay, I want you to think about what it is we're looking at in this data and then write a title that matches that data. So, for example, coal production in the United States. Okay, that could be a title. Something similar to that. So let's look at our data points. We'll start with Western. Excuse me, Appalachian. Appalachian is the first one. So I'm going to change my color to red. And it looks like in 1996 there was 452. So I'm going to scroll down to my graph. I'm going to make a little key here. I'm going to do a red line and write Appalachian. I should label this key. So I know that my red line is all Appalachian. So in 1996, it was 452. So here's 400 up here. So 20, 40, and that's 60. So 452 would be somewhere right around here. I'm going to make that dot nice and big. Okay, I'm going to scroll up and find 1997. 468. Okay, so let's find 1997 right here. 468 would be right about here. So 468 then would be right about here. So for each of those data points above, we are going to plot a point on our graph. So this will just take a little bit of time looking at each number and the year. Okay, so the next one, 1998, that would be 460. So we're looking at our next line here, and this would be right around there, 460. So we're going to plot all the points. So when Appalachian is all done, I'd have points all over. I'm just making these up. Please do not copy these. I'm just making this up. And we'd have a line. So I would connect the dots with a line. Okay? Next, we would go to interior. And interior I had is blue. So I'm going to put that on my key right here. Label it interior. And then I'm going to go up and look at my numbers above. So for 1996, the number for interior is 173. So let's go to my graph. 1996, 173. So here's 100, 120, 140, 160, 180. So 173 is going to be right about there. Okay, let's look for 1997. 97 is 171, so it's very close. So 1997, 171, again, like I said, very close. So we're going to do this for all the interior. We're going to have a whole bunch of plots again. I'm just making these up. Do not copy this part. Okay, and once they're all together, I'm going to connect them with a line. And then our last one is going to be Western, which I have as green. So I'm going to change my color to green. And it looks like 1996 has 439. So let's be sure to add that to our key. Green is Western. And in 1996, it's 439. So here's 96. Here's 400. So 420, 440, 439 is going to be right underneath it. So again, that's the first dot. I'm going to let you fill in the rest. I'm going to just make things up, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Connect them with the dot, or with the line. So at the end of this, you're going to have graphed 3 lines, 3 different colors. You're going to have points for each year, and then connect those points with a line for each color. Make sure you have the x-axis labeled, the y-axis labeled, and your key and your title. So this is your graph. Your graph is worth 10 points. Once you have the graph completed, feel free to rewind and watch this again since I went through it kind of quickly. But once you have the graph completed, it's time to do the questions to it. There's not necessarily a right or wrong answer, but just that you give some thought to it. So the first question, you need to answer for each region. I'm going to change my color back to black. Okay, each region. So you would answer for Appalachian, you would answer for Interior, and you would answer for Western. It says how much coal will be produced in the year 2020. Our data only went to 2011, but it says we're going to predict future coal production. So using a ruler, draw the lines for each region. Go beyond 2011. Draw the line with the same pattern it follows on the graph. So going down to my graph, let's say 2011 maybe only went to here. Okay, but I'm going to continue with that line in the future and see where it would be in approximately 2020. Okay, and wherever it is in 2020 on our fake line, I'm going to write that number. So for Appalachian in 2020, we'd follow the red, so you'd have to tell me what that number's at. For Interior is blue, tell me what that number's at. And for Western, it's green, tell me what that number is at. So again, you're following your line, just predicting. And you need a prediction for each region. Number 2, it says, what trend would you predict for the next 10 years in each region? So a trend means, is it going up, is it going down, or is it remaining steady? So what trend? Again, you need to answer for Appalachian, for Interior, and for Western. That's 3 points. Number 1 and 2 are both worth 3 points because you have to answer for each region. Question 3. If people keep using coal in the same way, scientists say there might not be enough coal reserves to last 200 to 300 years. Does your graph show that the trend, so up or down, match what the scientists say? So you have to answer this part of the question. And then what kinds of factors cause them not to match? Answer that as well. This is 2 points. So use your brain. You know that coal is a non-renewable resource, so you have to decide what might be causing the data on your graph not to match what scientists say. And then lastly, question 4 is worth 3 points. Number 1, can you think of any problems that could come from only using 15 years of data to predict trends for the next 100 years? So we only looked at 15 years, and now we're trying to predict what's happening 100 years in the future. Is there a problem with that? That's question 1. Question 2, explain that. And question 3, how could you prevent some of these problems? So that is 3 points for number 4. Once you've completed this whole worksheet, make sure you scan it and submit it to our Dropbox for 3.07. If you have a separate sheet for your graph, make sure that gets turned in as well. And if you have any questions, please send me an email. Thank you.